Welcome to English Prime Podcast. Let's get started.
Hey, English learners. Welcome back to English Prime Podcast. Here we learn real English through simple conversations, daily life stories, and powerful communication tips. So relax, enjoy, and let's improve your English together. I'm Emma.
And I am Jake. Here we help you speak English naturally, without pressure. Just listen, enjoy the conversation, and slowly you'll start understanding more and more.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to think too much, just be here with us, like you're part of the conversation. You know, Jake, there's something I've been thinking about lately.
What is it?
Why is it so hard to stay consistent with anything? I mean, we all start something with so much energy, like studying, going to the gym, waking up early, and then after a few days, it just disappears.
Yeah, that's actually very true. People start really strong, they feel motivated, excited, like this time I'm going to change everything. But then something breaks in between.
Exactly. And the worst part is, it's not like we don't want to be consistent. We do want it, we know it's important, but somehow we just can't continue.
And I think that's where most people feel confused, because they think, maybe I'm just lazy, or maybe I don't have discipline.
Yes, I've felt that so many times. Like, why can't I just do simple things every day? Have you ever felt like that?
I think almost everyone has. And the interesting thing is, it's not really about being lazy. There's actually something deeper going on.
Yeah, and today I really want to understand that. Like, what actually stops us from staying consistent? And how can we finally fix it?
That's a great question, because consistency sounds simple, but in real life, it's not that easy.
So if you've ever started something and then stopped after a few days, don't worry, you're definitely not alone.
And if you enjoy these kinds of real conversations, you can subscribe to our channel.
So Jake, you said something interesting, that it's not really about being lazy. Then what is it? Because honestly, I feel like most of the time it does feel like laziness.
Yeah, I understand why it feels that way. But I think the real problem is people depend too much on motivation.
Motivation? But isn't motivation a good thing? I mean, that's what helps us start, right?
It helps you start, yes. But the problem is motivation doesn't stay.
That's true. Like some days you feel super motivated. You want to do everything, study, work, exercise all at once.
Exactly. And on those days, everything feels easy.
But then the next day, you don't even feel like doing one small thing.
Right. And that's where consistency breaks. Because if your actions depend on how you feel, then your progress will always go up and down.
So you're saying the problem is not that we can't work hard. The problem is that we only work when we feel like it?
Yes, exactly. And feelings are not stable. They change every day.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Because when I think about it, I don't stop because I don't know what to do. I stop because I just don't feel like doing it anymore.
That's the key point. Most people are waiting to feel ready, to feel motivated, to feel inspired.
But those feelings don't come every day.
Exactly. And if you only act when you feel motivated, you'll never stay consistent.
So, in a way, motivation is helping us start, but it's also the reason we stop?
Yeah, you can say that. Motivation is powerful, but it's also unreliable.
That's interesting. So maybe the real question is, if motivation doesn't work, then what actually helps us stay consistent?
Yeah, that's the real question. Because most people think they need more motivation, but actually, they need something more stable.
But I feel like without motivation, it's really hard to even start. Like if I don't feel like doing something, how do I force myself?
That's the thing. You don't always need to feel ready to start. Sometimes you just need to start, even when you don't feel like it.
That sounds simple, but also kind of difficult. Because when I don't feel like doing something, I usually just avoid it.
Yeah, and that's normal. Most people do that. They wait for the right mood.
And that mood never comes.
Exactly. Or it comes for one day and then disappears again.
So basically, we are depending on something that is not reliable.
Yes, Motivation is like a temporary push. It gives you energy for a short time, but it's not something you can depend on every day.
That explains a lot, because whenever I start something new, I feel super excited in the beginning.
Yeah, that's the motivation phase.
But after a few days, that excitement goes away, and then everything feels harder.
Exactly. And at that point, most people stop.
So it's not that the work became harder, it's just that the feeling changed.
Right. The task is the same, but your emotions are different.
That's actually very true. And I think a lot of people don't realize this. They think something is wrong with them, but actually it's just how motivation works.
Yes. And once you understand that, you stop depending on motivation and you start looking for something more stable.
Like what?
Like building a system or a routine, something that doesn't depend on your mood.
So instead of asking, do I feel like doing this today, we should just follow a system?
Exactly. Because when you have a system, you don't think too much. You just do it.
That sounds simple, but also powerful. But I think most people don't do that, right?
Yeah, and that's where the next problem starts. People don't just depend on motivation. They also expect too much from themselves in the beginning.
What do you mean by too much?
I mean, people get very excited when they start something new, so they try to do everything at once.
Like what kind of things?
Like someone decides, from today I will wake up at 5 a.m., study for 5 hours, go to the gym daily, eat healthy, and completely change my life.
Yeah, that sounds familiar, actually.
It feels powerful in the beginning, like a big transformation. But the problem is, it's not realistic for most people.
So you're saying the plan is too big?
Exactly. It's too big, too fast. And when something is too difficult at the start, your mind naturally resists it.
That makes sense, because I've also noticed when I try to change everything at once, I end up doing nothing after a few days.
Yes, that's very common. People think they need a perfect routine to become consistent.
But perfection is hard to maintain.
Exactly. And once they fail even a little, they feel like they've failed completely.
So it's like they set a very high target, and then when they can't reach it, they quit?
Yes. And the problem is not effort. The problem is the starting point is too extreme.
I see that now. Because when something feels too heavy, even starting becomes stressful.
Right. And consistency never comes from pressure. It comes from something you can actually repeat every day.
So instead of doing a big change, we should start small.
Exactly. Small enough that your mind doesn't resist it.
That actually feels more doable, because big changes sound exciting, but small changes sound realistic.
Yes. And realistic is what actually lasts.
But I think most people don't like small steps. They feel too slow.
That's true. And that leads us to another important problem. People don't understand slow progress. And that's where frustration starts.
What kind of frustration?
It's this feeling where people think, if I'm not improving fast enough, then I'm not improving at all.
Yeah, I felt that before. Like you start something, and after a few days, you look at yourself and think, nothing has changed.
Exactly. And that thinking is very dangerous because it creates an all or nothing mindset.
All or nothing?
Yeah, it means people think in extremes. Either they are doing everything perfectly or they think they are failing completely.
That's actually true. There is no middle in that thinking.
Right. And real life doesn't work in extremes. Progress is usually slow, messy, and very small.
But when you don't see results quickly, it feels like nothing is happening.
Yes, and that's the emotional trap, because your effort is actually working, but the results are not visible yet.
So people give up too early?
Exactly. They quit in the middle of progress, not at the beginning. They just don't realize it.
That's interesting. So consistency is not about starting strong, it's about staying during the boring phase.
Yes, that boring phase is where most people fail.
I think I understand now. Because when things feel exciting, it's easy, but when it becomes routine, it feels like nothing is happening.
Right. And that's when people start questioning everything. Is this even working? Should I stop? Am I wasting time?
And slowly, they stop.
Yes. not because it wasn't working, but because they didn't see immediate results.
So basically, consistency requires patience more than energy.
Exactly. Energy starts things, but patience keeps them going.
That makes a lot of sense. But Jake, I'm thinking, even if we understand all this, it's still hard in real life.
Yeah, because understanding is easy, but changing behavior is the real challenge.
So there must be something deeper behind it, right?
Yes, and that's where emotions come in, because consistency is not just logical, it's emotional too.
Emotional? What do you mean by that?
I mean, even when you know what you should do, your emotions can still stop you. You might know studying is important or going to the gym, but still, you just don't feel like doing it.
Yeah, that happens a lot. It's like your mind says do it, but your body says no.
Exactly. And in that moment, emotions usually win.
So even if we understand everything logically, we still lose to how we feel?
Yes, that's why people struggle with consistency. It's not knowledge, it's emotional resistance.
Emotional resistance, like avoiding something because it feels uncomfortable?
Yes, anything that feels difficult, boring, or stressful, your mind tries to avoid it.
That explains why I sometimes scroll my phone instead of doing work.
Exactly. That's a very common escape. It's easier for the brain, so it chooses that instead.
So we're not lazy, we're just avoiding discomfort.
In most cases, yes. People think they lack discipline, but actually, they are just trying to avoid discomfort.
That changes how I see it, because lazy sounds like a personality problem, but this sounds more like a human reaction.
Yes, it's not about being a lazy person. It's about how your brain is wired to avoid pain and choose comfort.
But if comfort always wins, then how do people ever change?
That's where systems come in again. Because when you rely on emotion, you will always be inconsistent.
So systems help you act even when you don't feel like it?
Exactly. A system removes the need to decide every time. You just follow it.
So instead of asking, do I feel like it, we just follow a routine?
Yes, because feelings will always change, but systems stay stable.
That actually connects everything. Motivation, expectations, emotions, it all feels unstable.
Right. And consistency needs stability.
So maybe the real solution is not trying to control feelings, but building something that works even when feelings change.
Exactly. And once people understand that, everything starts to make more sense.
But I feel like there's still one more thing that makes consistency difficult, like something we haven't fully talked about yet.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. There's one more big reason, and it's actually very simple.
What is it?
People don't have a clear system. They rely on decisions every single day.
Decisions? Like what to do each day?
Yes. For example, every morning they think, should I study today? Should I skip? Should I go to the gym? Should I rest?
Yeah, that sounds tiring actually.
It is. And this is called decision fatigue. When you have too many small decisions, your brain gets tired before you even start.
Oh, so before even doing the work, we already feel drained?
Exactly. And then what happens? You choose the easier option, which is usually nothing.
Yeah, or scrolling on the phone again.
Exactly. And that's not because people are weak. It's because their system is weak.
So it's not about motivation or laziness. It's about structure?
Yes, structure removes confusion. When you already know what you will do, you don't waste energy deciding.
That actually feels powerful. Because I've noticed when I have a clear plan, I don't overthink as much.
Exactly. And that's the point. Consistency is easier when your day is already decided.
So instead of asking, what should I do today, we should already have the answer before the day starts?
Yes, that's what a system does.
So consistency is not really about pushing yourself every day. It's more about removing the need to push yourself every day.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to say it.
But Jake, I think many people still struggle even if they try to make a system.
Yeah, because most systems are too big or too complicated, and that becomes another problem.
So even the system has to be simple?
Yes, simple,
repeatable, and easy to follow.
So maybe the real solution is not just motivation or system, but also how we start the system, right?
Exactly. And that brings us to something very important: how small your first step really should be.
So what should it be? Because earlier you said people start too big.
Yes, and that's the mistake. People think change has to be big to be meaningful.
Like if I want to get fit, I should work out for 1 hour?
Exactly. That's what most people think. But in reality, starting small works much better.
But small feels too easy, almost like it won't make a difference.
Yeah, that's the illusion. Small steps don't feel powerful in the beginning, but they build something powerful over time.
So what kind of small steps are we talking about?
Something so small that your brain doesn't resist it. For example, instead of saying, I will study for 2 hours, you say, I will study for 10 minutes.
10 minutes sounds very easy.
Exactly. And that's the point. Because when something is easy to start, you are more likely to actually do it.
That makes sense, because most of the time starting is the hardest part.
Yes. And once you start, you often continue naturally.
So the real problem is not finishing, it's starting.
Exactly. And small steps solve that problem.
But, Jake, don't people feel like they are not doing enough when they start small?
Yes, they do, because they compare small progress with big expectations. But consistency is not about intensity. It's about repetition.
Repetition.
Yes, small action repeated daily is what creates real change.
So it's like doing a little bit every day is better than doing a lot once in a while?
Exactly. That's the core idea.
I think I'm starting to see a pattern now. Everything we talked about, motivation, expectations, emotions, it all leads to one thing.
Yeah. And what do you think that is?
That consistency is not really about what you do once, it's about what you keep doing again and again.
Yes, exactly. And when that repetition becomes part of you, it starts to shape your identity.
Identity?
Yes. Like instead of saying, I want to be consistent, you slowly become someone who shows up.
That's deep. So consistency is not just a habit, it's kind of who you become.
Exactly. And that's where real change happens.
So, Jake, if consistency is more about identity, then how do people actually build that identity in real life?
Good question. Because identity doesn't change overnight. It changes through small actions, repeated again and again. Every time you show up, even for a small task, you're basically telling yourself, I am someone who does this.
So even small actions matter, not because of the result, but because of what they say about us?
Exactly. That's the deeper part. It's not just productivity, it's self-image.
That actually makes consistency feel more meaningful, not just like a routine.
Yes, and that's why small habits are so powerful. They don't just change your day, they slowly change how you see yourself.
But still, sometimes people start something small and then forget about it after a few days.
Yeah, that happens a lot. That's why tracking can help.
Tracking?
Yes, like marking your progress, even in a simple way. A calendar, a checklist, anything that shows I did it today.
Oh, like seeing your progress visually.
Exactly. It gives your brain a sense of progress, and that keeps you going.
That sounds simple but powerful.
It is, because humans like proof. When you see progress, you feel motivated to continue.
So consistency is kind of like building proof every day that you are that person.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
So if I try to summarize everything we talked about, motivation is not stable, expectations are often too big, emotions can stop us, and systems help us stay on track.
Yes, and all of that connects to one simple idea. Consistency is not a feeling. It's a structure you build over time.
That actually changes the way I think about it, because before it felt like something I either had or didn't have.
Yeah, but now you can see it's something you build.
I think we should talk about what people can practically do with all this, like simple steps they can actually start today.
Yeah, that's important. Because understanding is not enough. People need real action steps. And that's exactly where we go next.
Before we go there, I just want to share something that actually connects with all of this.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a small story, but I think a lot of people will relate to it.
I'm listening.
So, a while ago, I decided I really wanted to build a good routine. I was super motivated at the beginning. Like I had this energy where I thought, okay, this time I will change everything. I made a full plan. Wake up early, study daily, exercise, everything. The first 2 days felt amazing. I felt like I finally had control over my life. But then, slowly, it started getting harder.
Yeah.
One day I woke up late, then I skipped studying, then I thought, it's okay, I'll start tomorrow. And that tomorrow kept repeating.
That's very common.
Yeah. And the strange thing is, I didn't even stop because I didn't care. I stopped because I felt like I had already failed. And after a few days, I just left everything completely.
I understand that feeling.
At that time, I thought maybe I'm just not disciplined enough. But now, when I look back, I think the problem was not discipline.
Then what was it?
I think I tried to change everything at once, instead of building something small.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also, I didn't have a system. It was all based on motivation. And once motivation disappeared, everything disappeared with it. It felt like I was starting again and again, but never actually moving forward.
That's a very honest reflection. And honestly, a lot of people go through that same cycle.
Yeah. And that's why now I understand. Consistency is not about one strong start. It's about staying in the game even when it feels boring.
Exactly. That's the real difference.
I just wish I knew this earlier.
Yeah. But the good thing is, once you understand it, you can actually change how you approach everything from now.
So, Jake, if we break it down into real life, why do most people still struggle even after knowing all this?
I think it's because people know the ideas, but they don't apply them in a simple way. They try to do everything perfectly again.
So they repeat the same mistake?
Yes. One common mistake is starting too big even after understanding the problem.
Right. Like they hear start small, but still try to do a big routine.
Exactly. And then they get stuck in the same cycle again.
So what should they actually do differently?
They need to simplify everything. Not just think about change, but reduce the size of the action so much that it feels almost impossible to avoid.
That sounds interesting. Like making it too easy to say no to.
Yes, exactly. If it feels heavy, your brain will resist it. But if it feels light, you just start without overthinking.
That makes sense, because I've noticed when something feels easy, I don't delay it.
Right. And that's the key difference between people who stay consistent and people who don't.
Okay, but another thing I'm thinking about is, even if someone starts small, they still lose consistency after a few days. Why does that happen?
Good question. I think another big reason is lack of clarity in daily actions.
Clarity? Like not knowing exactly what to do?
Yes. If your plan is vague, like I will study more or I will exercise regularly, your brain doesn't know what to follow.
So it becomes confusing?
Exactly. And confusion leads to delay. But when you have a clear action, like I will study for 10 minutes at 7 p.m., there's no decision needed.
Oh, so it removes thinking.
Yes, and less thinking means more action.
That actually connects with what we said earlier about systems.
Exactly. A good system removes confusion, reduces decisions, and makes action automatic.
So consistency is kind of like removing obstacles from your own way?
Yes, that's a perfect way to describe it.
It feels like most people don't fail because they can't do it. They fail because it feels too complicated in their head.
Exactly. And simplicity fixes that.
So if we look at everything we discussed, what are the most common mistakes people make when trying to stay consistent?
I'd say there are a few clear ones. First, people rely too much on motivation.
Right, we talked about that.
Yes, and the second one is even more important. They expect fast results.
Yeah, like if they don't see change quickly, they lose interest.
Exactly. And the third one is they try to change their whole life at once.
Yeah, that new me from tomorrow mindset.
Yes, and that mindset feels exciting, but it doesn't last.
So basically, too much too fast and no patience.
Exactly. And when those three things combine, people usually quit very quickly.
So what should the mindset be instead?
I think the mindset should be simple. Focus less on big results and more on small actions you can repeat daily.
So instead of thinking, I want to completely change my life, we should think, what can I do today that I can also do tomorrow?
Exactly. That's a much stronger approach.
But I feel like even when people know this, they still go back to old habits.
Yeah, because knowing something is not the same as practicing it. Your brain always prefers comfort.
So change feels uncomfortable at the start.
Yes, and that discomfort is where most people stop. But if you stay through that discomfort, even in a small way, that's where consistency starts building.
So it's not about being perfect, it's about not stopping completely.
Exactly. Even small continuation matters more than perfect performance.
That actually changes everything because it removes the pressure of being perfect.
Yes, and once pressure is gone, action becomes easier.
So if someone is struggling right now, the solution is not to restart everything, but just to continue in a smaller, simpler way.
Exactly. Just make it easier, not bigger.
That makes a lot of sense. So I guess the next step is actually putting all of this into action, right?
Yeah, and that's where we move into practical steps people can actually apply in real life. Simple things they can start today.
Okay, let's make it really simple then. If someone is listening right now and they feel like they can't stay consistent, what should they actually do?
I think the first step is very small, almost too small to ignore.
Like what?
Instead of saying, I will become consistent, just choose one tiny habit. Something like 10 minutes of study or 5 minutes of exercise.
So don't focus on changing everything, just pick one thing?
Yes, just one thing. Because when you try to fix everything, you usually fix nothing.
That sounds very real, actually.
Yeah. And the second step is to make it specific. Not I will study more, but I will study at 7 p.m. for 10 minutes.
Oh, so it should be clear, not vague.
Exactly. Clarity removes hesitation. When you already know what to do, you don't waste energy thinking.
That actually feels easier already.
And the third step is to focus on showing up, not results.
So even if I do a small amount, it still counts.
Yes, it always counts, because consistency is built through repetition, not intensity.
That's a big mindset shift, because most people only feel successful when they do something big.
Right, but big actions done once don't change your life. Small actions done daily do.
That's powerful.
And one more important thing, don't break the chain twice in a row.
What do you mean?
If you miss one day, it's okay, but don't let it become 2, 3, or 4 days.
Ah, so it's not about never failing, it's about not continuing the failure.
Exactly. That's how habits stay alive.
So consistency is really just about coming back again and again.
Yes, no matter how small the step is.
I feel like when you put it like this, consistency doesn't sound impossible anymore. It just sounds manageable.
That's exactly the point. It was never impossible. It just looked overwhelming.
Yeah, and I think if people understand this, they'll stop blaming themselves so much.
Exactly. And start focusing on simple actions instead of pressure.
Okay, so now I feel like we've covered everything from understanding to action.
Yes. And now it might help if we quickly connect everything into one simple picture.
Yeah, because honestly, when we talk about so many things, it's easy to forget the main idea.
Exactly. So let's simplify it. You don't stay consistent because of motivation. You don't fail because of laziness. And you don't improve just by trying harder.
So what is it really about?
It's about systems, small actions, and repetition. That's what builds consistency.
So if someone is struggling right now, it's not about doing something extreme. It's about starting simple and staying with it?
Yes, and also accepting that progress will be slow, but slow progress is still progress.
That actually feels relieving because it removes so much pressure.
Exactly. And once the pressure is gone, people can actually focus on doing instead of overthinking.
I think the biggest lesson here is that consistency is not a personality trait. It's a skill.
Yes, and like any skill, it can be learned and improved.
So basically, anyone can become consistent if they change the way they approach it.
Exactly.
That's a powerful thought. And now I'm curious, if you're listening to this, what do you think about consistency?
Yeah. Do you struggle with it too, or have you found a system that works for you?
We would really like to know your experience because everyone's journey is a little different.
And if you're enjoying these real conversations, make sure you subscribe and join us. We talk about things that actually matter in daily life in a simple and natural way.
Yeah, and your thoughts really help us make these conversations even better. So feel free to share what you think, and let's keep improving together.
Yeah. And before we end today's main conversation, let's quickly look at some useful English from what we just talked about. Not in a study way, just simple expressions that you can actually use in real life.
Not in a study way, just simple expressions that you can actually use in real life.
Like phrases that we naturally used during the conversation?
Exactly. Because the best way to learn English is not memorizing rules, it's noticing how real people actually speak.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like when we say things in a natural flow, it feels very different from textbook English.
Right. For example, one simple phrase we used was stay consistent. It basically means continuing something regularly without stopping again and again.
Yeah, like when someone says, I want to stay consistent with studying, it means they want to study regularly and not quit after a few days.
Exactly. And another common expression is fall off track. This is used when you stop doing what you planned to do.
Like if someone starts a routine and then stops after a week, they can say, I fell off track.
Yes. And what's interesting is most people don't just fall off once. They fall off and then feel bad about it. And that feeling makes it harder to come back.
True. And that's why another useful phrase is get back on track. It means returning to your routine after you've stopped for some time.
Exactly. And honestly, that's a very important mindset too, because it reminds you that stopping is not the end.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget that. They think if they stop once, everything is ruined.
Right. And that connects to another phrase we used, give up. It simply means to stop trying completely.
Like when people say, I gave up on my routine, it means they stopped trying altogether.
Yes. And what we discussed today is that most people don't need to give up. They just need to restart in a smaller way.
That's actually a big shift in thinking, because sometimes it feels like giving up is final, but it's not always final.
Exactly. And there's also a very useful phrase we used indirectly, stick to something. It means to continue doing something without changing your mind again and again.
Yeah, like stick to your plan means don't keep changing it every day. Just follow it.
Right. And if you notice, all these phrases are connected. They all describe different stages of consistency: starting, stopping, failing, and restarting.
That's true. It's like a cycle.
Yes. And English actually becomes easier when you connect words to real experiences like this.
Yeah, instead of learning isolated words, you learn them through situations, like we did in this conversation.
Exactly. And that's why phrases are more powerful than single words, because they carry meaning, emotion, and context together.
I think another phrase that fits here is figure things out. We used ideas like this when we talked about understanding why we can't stay consistent.
Yes, figure things out means slowly understanding something, like when you don't have a clear answer at first, but over time you start understanding it.
Yeah, like I'm still figuring things out means I'm still trying to understand or solve a situation.
Exactly. And consistency itself is something people usually have to figure out over time. It's not instant.
True. And maybe that's why people struggle, because they expect instant clarity. But in reality, it's a process.
Right. And one more simple expression we naturally use today is get into a routine.
That means building a regular pattern in your daily life, right?
Yes, like sleeping at the same time, studying at the same time, your day becomes predictable.
And when life becomes predictable, it's easier to stay consistent too.
Exactly. And that's the whole connection between language and life today. Consistency in habits and consistency in learning both work the same way.
That actually brings everything together really nicely.
Yeah. And now before we move to speaking practice, let's quickly do something interactive so you can use these ideas in your own life.
Yes. And after that, we'll also guide you through some speaking practice questions so you can actually apply what we talked about, not just understand it.
Exactly. So let's start simple. If you're listening right now, don't just listen. Try to respond in your mind, or even out loud if you can.
First question. When you start something and then lose consistency, what usually happens? Do you completely stop, or do you try again after some time?
Yeah, and be honest with yourself. Because most people don't fail because they don't care. They fail because they don't understand their own pattern.
Second question. Think about one thing you started with full motivation, but later stopped. What changed? Was it motivation, pressure, or expectations?
And don't worry about giving a perfect answer in English. Just try to express it in simple words. That's already practice.
Because the goal here is not grammar. It's thinking in English and expressing your real thoughts.
Third question. What is one very small habit you can start today that feels almost too easy to ignore?
Yeah, something like 5 minutes of reading, a short walk, or just planning your day. Something small enough that you can actually repeat it tomorrow.
And here's the important part. Don't just think about these questions. Try to actually answer them. Even a short sentence is enough.
And if you answered even one question, that means you are already practicing real communication, not just passive listening.
Exactly. And this is how improvement actually happens. Small moments of awareness, repeated over time.
Now take a small pause and reflect on your answers before we move ahead.
Yeah, and let's quickly bring everything together so it stays clear in your mind.
Because we talked about a lot of things today, and sometimes when we hear too much, we forget the main idea.
Exactly. So the main idea is very simple. You don't fail at consistency because you are lazy.
Yeah, it's not about laziness. It's more about how we approach things.
Right. We talked about how motivation is temporary. It helps you start, but it doesn't help you continue.
And then we realize that people often expect too much from themselves in the beginning, like changing everything at once.
Yes, and that usually leads to burnout or quitting because it's not realistic to maintain.
We also talked about all or nothing thinking, like if you miss one day, you feel like you failed completely.
But in reality, missing one day is normal. The real problem is not coming back after that.
Then we went deeper into emotions, how sometimes we don't act, not because we don't know what to do, but because we don't feel like doing it.
And that emotional resistance is very powerful. It often decides what we do in the moment.
After that, we talked about systems, how having a clear routine removes confusion and helps you act without overthinking.
And we also learned that small actions are more powerful than big actions done only once in a while.
Because consistency is not intensity, it's repetition.
Exactly. And finally, we talked about identity, how small actions repeated daily slowly shape who you believe you are.
So instead of saying, I want to be consistent, you start becoming someone who actually shows up every day.
Yeah. And when you combine all of this together, it becomes clear that consistency is not something you find, it's something you build.
And I think that's the most important message from today.
Exactly. Simple actions, repeated over time, create real change.
And honestly, I hope this conversation made things a little clearer for you, especially if you've been struggling with consistency.
Yeah, because nothing changes overnight, but the way you think about it can change today.
And maybe from today, you don't need to do something big, just something small, and repeat it tomorrow.
Exactly. That's enough to start.
So, thank you for being here with us today in the English Prime Podcast.
We really enjoyed this conversation with you. It felt real, simple, and honest, just like always.
And remember, you don't need perfect English or a perfect life to improve. You just need to keep going step by step.
Yeah, consistency and learning, just like in life.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Take care and keep improving, slowly but steadily.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, and see you next time.